start because it's already time. And yeah, so welcome everyone, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about our latest feature called Actionable Insights. This is a feature we launched in June this year, and our product team has been working a lot on it. And a lot of you guys have asked for a session like this. So we thought we'll open it up to all of our customers to ask us questions and to present what this is about. So yeah, I'm joined today with Patrick. It's not just me talking. So Patrick, do you want to introduce yourself? And then I'll introduce myself as well because I missed that part. Go ahead,
Sure.
Patrick.
Thank you, Pascal. So, hello everybody. My name is Patrick Vilnas. I'm product owner in Pricefx. I'm in Pricefx for almost 7 years now, and last couple of years I'm in the product team, and I'm product owner responsible mainly for the analytics part. So capabilities like charts, data marts, dashboards, and our accelerators, which are focused on analytics like customer insights, sales insights these days. And yeah, happy to present now the new capability, Actionable Insights as well.
Thanks, Patrick. And I'm Pascal. I'm in the product marketing team. I've been running a few of these webinars, so some of you I have met already. I've been with Pricefx for about 2 years, and I'm responsible with my team. We're responsible for all the communication about our product. So whenever you see any product releases, that's us behind the scenes. So a few housekeeping items before we start. I just want to let everyone know you guys are all on mute. So if you have any trouble or any issue, please add it to the chat. You can also send us your questions there. There's 2 ways to ask questions, either on the chat or there's a Q&A as well, if you can see it. You can also send us questions there, and Ludiek and Andrew are going to be moderating these, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation if that's okay. And of course, this session is recorded, so you will receive a recording after this session. Great, so let's start. So just covering a little bit what we will talk about today. Obviously, we're gonna talk about what is actionable insights, where does this whole concept come from, and how did we implement it at Pricefx, how you can utilize it. And after that, Patrick is actually gonna do a demo of the feature. So I'd say maybe 20 minutes of presentation and probably around 15, 20 minutes of demo. So please stay until the end so you can actually see the tool live. And then we'll take any questions that you might have. Cool. So I have a poll for everyone here. So we're going to try and make this interactive. And hopefully I'm not going to have any trouble with it. So let me open this poll. Question for everyone. Do you use the Waze app when you drive? So let's see what the audience is like with us now. So hopefully you're seeing it. Ludiek, Andrew, can you give me a shout that you see if you see the, yeah, it should take a few moments to appear. Okay, I can see some answers, so that means it's working. Cool. So Waze is basically a navigation app, and it is a way for anybody to travel. So I think if you guys remember back in the days, we would have those paper maps, opening it in the middle of the car. I'm a millennial, so I never really used it, but I do remember my parents using these maps and having a lot of arguments about it. And eventually we would always get lost, obviously, and either there would be traffic or we wouldn't know the road. So now we don't have to worry about all this anymore, right? We have our apps. It might be a Google Maps or it might be Waze, but it's beautiful because we can just drive without any care in the world. It tells us exactly where to go. It is powered by user-generated content, which makes it extremely powerful, right? So we have live traffic updates that can be pushed out to our phones directly and tell us if there is traffic on one road, it will give us another direction. And you can save sometimes 5-10 minutes in your journey if you have these kind of apps running in your background. So it really makes life much more easier and less anxiety. I know I have 2 kids, so I definitely want to know if there's traffic on the road. I want to minimize the amount of time that I'm on the road. So if you're a parent, you probably also relate to that. So yeah, so basically these tools are making our lives much easier, but and they are based on insights, right, and on data. So this is exactly what Actionable Insights is about. And Patrick is going to tell you a little bit how this actually works in the back end. I think it's really interesting to understand how the logic works so that you can actually get all these beautiful insights on our phones. So maybe Patrick, can you share a little bit what would be the most important elements for such
Right.
insights to appear?
So I can copy that what you said. I have personally the same experiences as you do.
Yeah.
And you also mention, as it was mentioned in the chat, that yeah, probably this is most useful when you're in kind of big cities, and there can be really high traffic, which is probably not obviously happening in other areas like out of cities. However, living in the city myself, I found personally an issue when I'm commuting to work, for example, and Waze as a tool or other apps can help me with my daily routine. So imagine, I have to travel like 30 minutes usually without traffic, to work. And when I wake up in the morning, usually I see the situation is slightly different and it's delayed and I'm in a traffic. And if I would maybe leave earlier by 20 minutes, or I would maybe choose a different type of transport, I would get to work on time, and my daily schedule would be okay. So yeah, I can avoid that. I'm using like some apps and services for that, and one of them could be the case with the Waze. That Waze can tell me, okay, you should leave now if you really want to be on time, on a place where you want to be. So I know, okay, I should leave maybe 15, 20 minutes earlier and I will be there because the traffic has changed. There is some car accident or whatever time, can be really the high traffic there. Or there are apps or like assistants which can tell you, okay, maybe you should better change the type of transport. If you don't have to travel by car, maybe use public transport. There are no delays, it's better to use that. And I'm happy to do so. I can even manage in my city to walk. So walking to work is also something how I can avoid. So something what tells me the insight about, okay, this is happening outside, and it helps me to decide. That's something really helpful and makes my life more smooth. What I'm using for that, so yeah, as I said, some apps which can which where I can define such a patterns, and in the end, the data is available there, right? So as you said, there are maps, there are open data about public transport, or from services like provided by government, and also everybody is usually having in a pocket smartphone with so many
Mm.
sensors which can tell you, okay, you are here and there, you're moving, not moving, or you should be moving maybe more quickly. Okay, maybe based on that real time, we should tell you how to improve. So I believe some of those can be really like transferred into our business life, and also specifically now like pricing life we have in
Exactly.
tool like Pricefx,
Yeah,
and yeah, be shown there.
exactly. Yeah, so it's basically those 4 elements are very important to in any kind of situation. You need to have a use case, right? You need to be in a certain situation. You want to have the insight. So what's the action? What are you gonna get out of it? Obviously, it needs to be based on some rules or filters or schedule. And then at the end of the day, it's all based on data. And so let's see how we can use this in the pricing world, because I think there's a lot of example in our daily lives, but in the pricing world, I think there's also potential to use it. And this is why obviously Pricefx has come up with actionable insights. But for example, let's say we're going to talk about churn risk, right? So if you're a sales manager or a sales rep, you might want to know in advance if a customer might churn, right? They might have reduced their orders in a specific month, and it would be nice to know, obviously, before the month ends. So in this case, the notification would come to you directly, saying, "Hey, there's a customer that seems to have ordered less this month. it will ask you to take an action, maybe analyze the data, maybe you need to call the customer, maybe you need to reduce your prices, up to you. But the system should be able to tell you, like, there's an action that needs to be taken, and you should, follow through that action and even execute it on the platform. And find it needs to be defined, right? So again, what are the rules that it needs to follow? You'll need to input your customer ID. Maybe you'll need to add revenue trends, the time period that you want it to be running through, maybe the schedule. So if it's going to be every month or every year, I don't know. And of course, the data. So at Pricefx, we talk about data marts and the master data, but generally, we're talking about any kind of transaction data, customer data, product data. This is all fueled. All these insights are fueled with your data, right? So we have a very rich platform at Pricefx. We have a lot of data there. And that's basically why we've created actionable insights. So Patrick is gonna talk about the whole thinking behind actionable insights.
Right. And yeah, that's also the thing. So the data is already there. So why not to use the data and some value to it? So for example, data and data marts, if we can connect it with actions, what should be done, at the end, then it can be quite a powerful thing. So yeah, this idea has been here, for a while. And now we are bringing the first generation of another layer, on the top of that, which is called Actionable Insights, which can connect those sources of data with real actions.
Mm-hmm. And just to give you all a bit of background on the timeline. So I think it's important that everybody knows where we're at with this feature, because we've communicated about it. And as I said, a lot of people have shown interest and are asking a lot of questions, but not many people are actually using it. So just wanted to reiterate that this is a feature that is available to you right now. This is exactly why we're doing this webinar, to show you how it works. So it was released in June, in our paper plane release. And at the moment, what you can do with Actionable Insights is that you can set up a watcher. And if watcher is a weird name, don't worry, we're going to talk about it in a minute. So Patrick will explain what a watcher is. But you can set up a watcher in a data mart, with a data mart at this time. And you can automate actions as well. So you can assign them to different people, and you can create notification as well. So this is what currently is available. And in January, so very soon, we have a new release, and there's going to be enhancement to Actionable Insights. So starting January, obviously, once you upgrade, you will be able to set up watchers from dashboards and charts. And I think that's pretty cool, because it's like there's so much data that already exists in the dashboards and the charts, and it can really populate all this data straight away into your watcher. So you'll see everything in a minute with Patrick. But it's also possible to create measures with our visual configuration. So it's a tool that kind of makes it easy for you to create some calculations. So again, we'll show everything in a few minutes. And then obviously we're always going to improve these features that we have, not just Actionable Insights, but all features that we have. But you can expect in the future maybe more watcher types, maybe more ways to create watchers via contextual actions. So there's a lot coming. I don't want to promise anything, but we'll continue to develop this feature. But now let's talk a little bit about what we currently have, and how you can start using it today. And I think there's 3 very good use cases that at least we thought about. So Patrick is going to take you through some of these use cases, and we'll also explain a little bit about the flow, what's the watcher, and then we'll jump into the demo.
So exactly as you said, like bringing, more data, together and be able to action on that on the top, is something what can help also to introduce more use cases and help with them and automate them and make them more predictive. Now in the 11 release, which is available. We are sure that these free use cases, if the data is there in your data marts, you should be able to create vouchers for free. And the churn risk is the one we are going also to see in the demo soon. There is a high risk detected that a customer is probably leaving and not buying your products because of low quantity, detected of products, sold to this customer, or maybe not so many transactions were created or done with this customer. So this can be detected even manually now in dashboards or in your data. So this is something we'll be looking at. And this can help to avoid, decreasing trend of revenue or margin generated by this behavior. And another one, the margin opportunity, is about increasing the margin where it's possible for a specific customer based on some kind of segmentation. You can even use a customer clustering model, which is one of our accelerators available already, or you can use simple rollups to create such an analysis for that. And then you can detect for which customer you can potentially increase the margin. And the third one on the screen, the detection based on low margin generated for a specific transaction, for example, depends on a level of granularity. We can take a look at it. Can for some time period, generate low or even lower margins, so that there is a high risk, on unprofitability. So this is also something what can be caught and what can be automatically by the watcher detected. Of course, there is a level of creativity, as you will be seeing, in the demo, that you can really target the data and prepare it, also for some other use cases. If the data is there, maybe you're already, copying some useful data from your quoting or price setting area into data mart. So if it's there, you can create even, some other use cases there, and it will be up to you. So these free use cases, we are sure they are coming with the 11 release. And yeah, now let's take a look probably what is the flow and the idea behind the creation of such a watcher.
Yeah, I think, and it's a nice transition into the next slide, because I think we can almost think of a few personas for each of these use cases, right? Like we can think that, for example, the margin opportunity is more interesting for pricing analysts, but maybe the low margin deals are more interesting for sales reps or sales managers. So that brings us to the next slide, which is, not everybody in this call necessarily needs to know how to set up actionable insights or how to set up a watcher, but you might be on the receiving end, right? You might be the person executing the action. But so I'm not sure who we have exactly on the call, but if you're an admin, then the first part, which is defining your watcher, defining your action, this is going to be relevant to you, and this is what Patrick is going to show you. Then what will happen is that basically once you create that, then Pricefx is going to work behind the scene and is going to detect if there's anything that matches this watcher, and create an action for the person that you've asked it to create an action for, obviously. So yeah, just wanted to iterate that it might be that the person that creates the watcher is also executing, but they might not know at all that there is something called watcher. But I think it's nice to know that there is something happening behind the scene, even if you're only executing the actions. So let's just explain maybe what is a watcher, because we've been talking about it, and maybe it's a specific word for Pricefx, right? So go ahead, Patrick. Patrick is gonna almost take over from now, because he'll talk about the product and how it works, and he'll take you through the demo as well.
Sure. So in theory, watcher, I think it can be it can be quite familiar word to you, because maybe
Okay.
you used to also watch something interesting on a specific website, or there are like
That's true.
specific services or features for that already in other applications. Depends
Yeah.
always on naming. We call it watcher, and the watcher itself, as you will see, is a kind of description or a definition for what should happen, from where the data to take from, what to detect there, and what should happen afterwards. So as the process was shown on the previous screen, so the watcher itself holds all these informations. It's a prescription for it, it's the definition for that, and I will be showing how to create one. However, majority of users probably will be just consumers of those actions and notifications detected in the watcher. So in the end, the watcher is like the basic vehicle there behind the whole feature, but probably not everybody will be using that real time every day on daily basis. But yeah, I will be showing that. And continuing on also those sources of the data, as we mentioned, now we are supporting data marts, not only those analytical sources like rollups and model tables as a sources from the optimization engine, can be also those data you can use now in the 11 release. And as it was mentioned also on the roadmap, in January, we are releasing other sources. So imagine you're creating a voucher from existing analysis in a chart or in a customer insights and sales insights portlet, which is something we would recommend you to use already, even without actionable insights. But together with actionable insights, this is a nice partnership of both all these three accelerators at the end. So existing analysis or existing data in such a dashboard portlet can be used then in Watcher, and can be regularly watched for some detection rules if found there. And not the least, but also in the 12th version in January, we are for the first time connecting a new feature visual editor with analytics. For the first time in this generation, you will be able to also use not only written formulas as a text, but also to define, a little bit more advanced aggregation function or a comparison function in a new join series, which I will be showing you very soon as well. You can use these visual blocks for defining that using drag and drop, using menus. So you can just click there; it will be edited there automatically from what is available, in your data with enhanced validations. So you're always correct with what you're defining there, and you can't go wrong. So that's another thing on the top of that. And yeah, I think
So
it's a time.
yeah. Great. So now we're actually going to go on Pricefx. Well, Patrick is, and we're going to show you how to set up all these watchers. We're even going to start from the beginning, where, as a user, what would be your experience? So right. So if you're a sales manager, or even if you might be a pricing analyst and you receive a notification. So Patrick is going to take you really from the very beginning of the flow to the very end. So that's hopefully going to be helpful. Again, if you have questions while Patrick is talking, send them on the chat or in the Q&A, and we're going to take it after the demo, just so we don't interrupt his flow. It can be tricky sometimes. So go ahead, Patrick. You can share your screen, share your...
Thank you. So I already prepared something, and I also didn't prepare everything. So the rest I will be doing really live. One
Yeah.
of those things I prepared is the email notification I got yesterday from a watcher, which I
Mm.
created for this purpose. And so it's in my mailbox, and I got a notification from some type of watcher that something happened in the data, and there is a button to go back to the application and see the detail. So this is how we think that the typical user will be using actionable insights, going down from the action generated by the watcher to relay the data found there in your application, in the application, and then reacting to that. So when I go to the application, the detail of such an action looks like this. So this action was assigned to me. So you can consider it as some kind of to-do item, which has some relation to my user. It has also some statuses, so I can like change the status if I'm done, with the situation which was found in the data. You can see that there is already some watcher behind that. So if I'm allowed to see the watcher as an admin, I can also go there to see the watcher behind it. We will do so. Also, the text telling me, okay, there is some recommendation what to do from the watcher creator. So it can help me. But most interestingly, I can see here that there is already the rule why it was created. So some revenue trend was below zero. So specifically, this customer in this case, was below some revenue trend. So that's why this action was created, why it popped up in the email. But also you can see that there are some actions, created in the notification center. So we do the both. We do email notifications. We do the notification also in the application itself. There is, for example, another one I can open here, which will be probably very, very similar because I created the same detection rule for that. So yeah, there is also more context delivered with the action. For example, there is some kind of analytical dashboard, delivered with that. Those of you who know customer insights dashboards, this is one of those. So probably it can help me to identify those negative values for a specific customer, which I also see here. So it can be the starting point for some kind of analysis, but for sure, if I can use full dashboarding features in the application, I can go to dashboards or analytics and do more. And the analytics holds itself also more features. So I can, for example, just write Pascal, a message, hey Pascal, can you help me with this action? So messages probably from other parts of the application. So let's go now back to the description.
Just one
And
thing,
yeah,
I,
sure.
I just wanted to say that this is something which is part of this flow, right? So the execution part is really up to the person at the end that is assigned the action. But it's important to give them the context, which is why those dashboards are crucial to have. It would be useless for them to receive a notification and to see that they need to do something, but there's no context and there's no information on what to do. Because we are not really telling people in this case with actionable insights, we're not telling you what to do. We're just notifying you, but then at the end, the action needs to come from you. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, is it possible to go through to keep track like of the action and how far away you are, like the progress of the action in terms of if it's been executed, if it's in progress or something?
Exactly. So that's the case with these statuses buttons. So you can mark the action as done, and that means that it was already fixed by some action. Somebody called to the customer. Somebody changed pricing parameters maybe, or offered some promotion for the customer to buy more stuff.
Mm.
So this is done. I can make it done. There are also some other actions. We speak more about it in the documentation. It can be false alarm for sure, but also it can be something what you don't want to be bothered anymore, and you can block it. So if the
Mm.
same pattern happens in the data again, so this is found in the data as a detection rule for this specific customer found, that will be blocked, and you will not get any more notifications about it. So again, more can be found in the documentation. And about the history of the action, what happened before. So me as an admin of the watcher, I can go to the watcher itself. I'm now in something called summary step, which is the last step of creation of such a watcher, and I will be shortly showing how to create it from scratch. which shows me in a read-only mode the data which were used, for that. So there are some kind of underlying, series created from a specific data mart, exactly with the rule which I could see in the action. Now the applied rule just found, exactly the customer and the revenue trend, which was delivered in the action. And here I can also see that based on some action definitions, which I will be showing, there were already created two actions. So one was for me and yesterday. I can see the timestamp here, but another one was also created to Pascal. So you, Pascal, you should see also in your mailbox that there is a notification that this happened. And yeah, there is even more if you would go technically, underneath into tracking and like seeing, what was the history. So this is like the pilot. Sorry, not pilot, but I mean like the whole management of being you as a pilot, of the
Mm.
watch operation. But let's now go to Actionable Insights, which you can find as a new item in the menu when you have enabled them. And you go to
I think
Watcher, and there is a list of
that's
already existing ones.
that's a very important point, right? So you said once you enable paper plane, right? So you wouldn't be able to see it unless you upgrade it to the latest release. Just a
Exactly.
note.
11 is the minimum version for this, and 12, as we said, will be even enhanced with more data sources. I will be creating new one from scratch, so please bear with me. It will take some time, but let's create a new, again, based on the churn risk use case. Yeah, so we have the open hour November 24, and let's use it here as a name, a unique one for that. And yep, there is only just one type for now, so nothing else you need to do here. And I'm creating a new definition for the watcher, so it's empty, and I'm starting from scratch. Those of you who know, our analytics charts, you would probably see that this looks similar as our inputs for charts. There are some series. I can create even more series here, and they are like inputs like data source, measures. I can do the group by here. I can have filters here. So this is how I will define, the scope of the data I want to be looking at. Probably I can look like at the whole data mart, which is quite large table, or I can be even more specific. But the thing is that we need to somehow, drill down into the data itself, how we are looking at the data. I will be using for this case my transaction data mart, which I'm using also for customer insights and sales insights dashboards. I will be grouping them based on the customer name and ID, which is the same. I just want to have both information side by side. So yeah, I want to avoid, the churn risk on a customer ID level. I can be even higher on a customer segment level or specific industry, whatever. For me, the main measure to find if the revenues are decreasing for a specific customer will be an invoice price, whatever you call it, or if you have a different measure for that, use that. I will call it just in case of any other calculations here as a revenue base for now. And I'm looking for some pattern or some trend in my data. So, for example, the situation now and situation which was 1 year ago or 12 months ago, something like that. For this specific case, I decided to use a filter. So I will be going to get data only for last 12 months. So between now, I'm using relative filter here, which can help you to always like shift those dates in a calendar, to the actual date or the date which really applies, to the definition here. So 12 months ago, for example, to today, right? That's last 12 months. So you can see this is the date today as it was last year, and this is really the date today now. So we have 12 months in a row. I get the data, and yeah, I can see on a customer level aggregated sums of invoice prices, generated for last 12 months. Let me also name it as a, let's say, a series for these last 12 months. And let me add for the comparison the series, which will be aggregated by same group by levels. So as you can see, I clicked on the Add Series button, and everything was copied over, to the new series. But the only difference here is that I will be using those months before last 12 months, so 24 until, and months ago, which is again 12, not inclusive. So right, and I will also call this series as the comparison series, or like 2022 maybe here, whatever it can be, just to identify it better on the screen. Right, so I have two series now, and I can see there is really some difference in the data. So if I know this is like the situation now, this is the situation before, obviously it looks that the revenue is increasing. I can see like higher values here. But I can use what I need for the detection. I want some automation which would be looking at this difference, and it will be still looking reoccurringly, like every month, every year, or every day, for this stuff. So there is a new option to create a joint series, and you will find it in future also in the standard analytics capabilities like our charts, because this can be useful also for the primary analysis. And to create such a join, I need some keys. So I have already pre-selected the base series here, which I created firstly. And I will be using the key, the dimension I'm using on the group by level, which is the customer ID. And the second series, I call it comparison series, I'm using the same. So it can easily, be joined on this level. I will call it, the revenue trend is good. I will try to make it as a percentage, so we see the trend in percentage. I can even, write it. I can even use clicking these menu items. You should be also familiar with that in our formula builder. This is not a new feature. So I can do something like the first series, like revenues now and revenues before divided. So I get the trend and the ratio. I will be also converting it into percent. So let's multiply it by 100. I haven't touched the visual configurator. As you can see, I prefer writing the code here. It was quite quick, but you can use also these blocks. So there will be like more and specific demo probably around this feature, how it can be used and how it is documented and where it can be useful. But these blocks allows you to really like know where it fits. All those blocks you can see that have validations, so you can't go wrong here, and it always tells you something is missing or something is expected here. Let's use this. Sorry, I think I didn't call it. Yeah, I call it. The default value just tells you if there is no data for such a row, if it should be like null or if it should be 0. I'm like fine with 0. So if there are no data, let's make it 0. It doesn't have to be used. Okay, you can see now there is a new type of series created. It's again like in this table. And it really supports my idea that the revenue trend is really increasing. So like last 12 months compared to 12 months before is really increasing. The trend is quite fine. So that looks good. Let me just sort the data, and I can see there is just one customer. And if you remember from the action, it's still the same one. I'm using the same data, same case, which is below zero. So this is like negative minus 2.9 trend in revenue. So if I would like to avoid this situation in the future, it would be better to have this watcher already created. I'm creating it now. And I also don't want this situation to be even worse, like next day or the very next month. So I want to be watching this situation. Also here maybe can be a decreasing trend. I can find more in the dashboards or in charts. So yeah, this is something what I can now probably use for my detection rules. So let's continue to the next step, which is called detection rules. And I'm asked here to select which series I want to use. Definitely I want to use the last one, the joint series, which shows me the trend. So I'm using here the trend to create the condition for the watcher. And I want to be really watching if it goes to negative. So not even minus 20%. I want to be really like less than zero. So if it goes to negative values, I want to be notified about it, or I want my folks in the team to be notified. I can test just as a dry run to apply these rules. Again, we get just this one row. So now if I really start the watcher and it will be running, it will again like generate one action. If tomorrow or the next month there will be more customers or the trend will go even lower, I will be notified as well. So this is just a taste that my data and those rules are working well. Yep, I can say the start date is now. So let's try at 6 p.m. to start it for the first time. It would make sense probably to have it run on monthly basis because I'm analyzing it per month. Let's keep it for this demo like every day, which is the minimum. So once a day, it will be checked in the data. If I'm fine with that, I can continue, or I can add even more rules here if I want to be more specific. It always uses those measures and dimensions used in the previous step. That's what you prepared. If you want to get more, you can go back to the previous step and you can add more. Okay, and now we are at the step of what should happen afterwards. So if the watcher finds something in the data based on those rules, what should happen next? So we want that action to be created, and how and when and to who it should be assigned. So the definition for it will be created here. So I want, for example, a new action exactly as it is here, action for Pascal. If you don't mind, if you can help me, when this watcher will run, it will detect again some data which applies to those rules. If you can help me to fix the situation, I'm okay if you do it on the very next day, since you receive the action. You will be notified on the due date that you should react, or if it's overdue. You will be the primary assignee for this, so you will be getting the notification. And simple as that, it can be enough for what you already saw as the action was created, as it was sent to my mailbox, and as it was in my notification center. I can create a little bit more complex action for not only Pascal, but maybe for our pricing team. Let's assume we are all in one team. I want all of us to have the due date on the same day, so we should really react quickly to that. Primary assignee will be, in this case, for example, me. So I will get actions in case of all customers, all detected rows will be really found in the data. I will be getting the notification. But if I want to be more specific, I can say that, for example, to Pascal will be assigned an action only in case there is a specific customer found. So, for example, if Pascal is a sales representative for this customer, she will get the notification specifically. And I can add even more. So I can say that Luděk, who is in the chat helping to answer questions, he will be getting the action in case this customer is detected in the data. So I can be kind of specific and help really to to make those actions, done by really people who are maybe those key representatives for these customers. But imagine if I would not be drilling down the data and grouping it by customer ID, but I would be doing it, for example, by country. So on a country dimension, I would be able here then divide those actions by country. So for example, someone who is responsible for Germany or India, okay, you should get the action. You should do it because it's your business, it's the region you are responsible for. I can add the dashboard as it was shown in the action created that, for example, customer insights dashboard can be very helpful to identify specifically, the performance generated by a specific customer. So I can later on use these inputs to filter on the specific customer and start the primary analysis. I can also add these actions under an action plan, which is also a new term we are using here. And this term means, okay, there may be more actions like I'm doing now. I have already one simple action. I have already now one which will be more complex, and it can be maybe generating more actions for these users. But I want to everything group, under one folder, under one group or a wrapper. So we call it an action plan. So if I want to use action plan, everything will be under this predefined name of the action plan. So we support just for plans for now. So then you will find all actions under this one. And unless all actions are not marked as done, then you can't say that the action group is marked as done as well. So it can help with the whole flow of what has to be done to improve the situation. I'm done here, and I do just pre-calculation of the last summary step because I need to again refresh the data from all those steps which were done before. And I want to see the summary of what was defined, how it was defined, and if it's okay. If I'm okay with that, I will be submitting the watcher, and it will be ready, running there in the background for me and creating actions. So this will take a couple of seconds for now, until 1 minute, not more.
We're actually almost not on time, but there's still 10 minutes left. So we're still okay, but you're going to show also how to create this from a dashboard, right? So just a quick overview of how you can do it from a dashboard, and then we'll take more questions. But we're kind of answering the questions as we go, so we might not need to spend a lot of time on questions at the end.
I'll just show you that there is one, for example, a new dashboard we now added to Sales Insights Accelerator. So period over period dashboard is showing you, for example, the measure gross margin performance, over the last 12 months, for example, or depends on the interval here. And it's also looking back, what was the trend before, and it shows, what was the trend in those previous 12 months, and if it's underperforming or overperforming. And in this case, or in the data, I can see I'm, underperforming, and the trend is going really into negative values. So this is something what I wanted probably to avoid in this breakpoint, and the watcher would help me. So in such a case, in such analysis in a dashboard portlet, I would do as a watcher creator that I would either create a direct action right now, so it's redirects me to actions, and I can now manually directly create an action for someone in my team. But I can create a watcher, so it continuously watch for such a measure is going below the trend. And you can see that I was redirected to a new watcher, but already in the first step, I have all those inputs and the data, with me, and I don't have to start from scratch, and I can continue to the next step. So the analysis, I'm reusing again here, and I can define based on these measures and dimensions, like these fiscal months, those detection rules in the next step. And similar thing in the 12 will be also available for like out of the box charts available under analytics. So if I have a chart in a already saved, in my saved charts, or I'm creating an ad hoc chart, from what I know, how I use the data here, I can also create the watcher from here. So the chart with inputs and the data here will be transferred again to the watcher. So yeah, I'm reusing what is already there and not have to start from scratch. And now going back, here is the summary which was created for me, so I can again check if my data scope is okay, if those applied rules are already finding something or not. In majority cases, you can imagine that probably now the situation is okay and there will be nothing, but something will happen in the future and will be detected. And yeah, I have 2 prescriptions for some actions, and today not yet any action was created, so that's expected. But in the future, I can come back here and I can check for the history. I can submit this, and we are done with the watcher creation from scratch. And also, you saw how I can create in the 12.0 release in January the watcher from an existing analysis in a customer insights and sales insight dashboard portlet or from a chart in analytics.
Thank you so much, Patrick. This was a really thorough demo, so I think everybody probably found it very useful. If you can give us a thumbs up for Patrick, if you feel like this was good, or if you feel like you're missing some information, just add it into the chat. But just going back, we still have a few minutes, but I just want to remind everyone again, this is a functionality that is available to you once you upgrade to Paperplane, so 11.0. It is a standalone functionality, but as Patrick said, it works better with sales insights and customers insights. He just shows you how you can straight away from the dashboard, you can create a watcher. And I think that's very powerful. But of course, if you don't have those 2 functionalities, you can features, you can also use actionable insights separately and just use the data marks. It is free. You don't have to pay for that. And it can be deployed via Platform Manager. So it's an accelerator. So if you go to Platform Manager, if you're an admin, you should be able to just type in actionable insights once you upgrade and deploy it. So it's pretty straightforward. And I think we have a question from Ludiak, actually. Is it possible to receive recommendation on what is the action? So the only available recommendation are those potentially written in the action description. Yeah. Patrick, would that be your question? Would that be a question that you can answer? Is it possible to receive recommendation on what is the action? Is that something that we're looking into doing?
Right. So for sure, we would like to be smart enough to tell you what's the best decision making to avoid the situation in the future or how to fix the situation now. At the moment, we don't provide that, like any automated action recommendation what should be done, or even better would be maybe to automate it. So you have a button to approve or not to approve an action, which will be done in the application automatically.
Yeah.
So definitely we are looking, this way. At the moment, everything is like manual from the action created, which is some kind of a to-do task. You can take it, and the recommendation can be written by the watcher creator into the description field manually, because probably how usually these kind of situations are solved in your business, in your case, or in the history in the past. And probably you want to create more watchers or more watcher types which are focused on a specific use case or a specific part of your transactions you're looking at. And maybe those will have different ways how to solve them, right? Different recommendations. So it's recommended also to make it a little bit granular and create more watching your data from different angles. So that would be my suggestion now. And yeah, as I said, for sure we are looking at more useful and more automated actions in the future.
Yeah. I think, Cynthia, you were asking about some seminars on building better dashboards. So yeah, as Andrew mentioned, there's a lot of content on our knowledge base on how to build dashboards or charts. but maybe that's a topic for another session. So thanks for the idea. And just one more slide, Patrick, just to finish here. I wanted to let everyone know. So what you could do right now is reach out to your CSM or to your contact at Pricefx and ask them if you need more information about actionable insights. You can do that. You can reach out to them directly. Of course, you can go ahead and deploy it if you wanted, if you're on the paper plane already. You will receive an email with the recording of this, so you can always go back to it. And you can also, there will also be some links on the knowledge base in that email, so you can also use it as a reference. And just one more thing before we close, for any customer that is on the call, there is something called the Pricefx user group, which is basically a group of customers that are willing to talk to us, to the product team, and would like to share their feedback. It's quite an active group, so we are reaching out to customers maybe on a monthly basis to ask them for interviews, and to kind of give us their insights on how they like the tool. If they like it, what would they improve it? So if anybody is interested in talking more regularly to Pricefx and to the product team, you can sign up. You can scan the code here and you'll be taken to a page where you would have to register. So would love to see some of you there. A lot of you have already joined, but if you haven't, then this is still open for you. And it looks like we don't have a lot of other questions, but thank you everyone for joining. We're already on time anyway. And as I said, we will send you all of this after the call. So probably tomorrow, because it's quite late for me today. So wait until tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, your time, you will receive an email. But thank you everyone. Thank you, Patrick, for your time. And Andrew and Ludek for answering all these questions. Have a nice rest of the day and evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a nice day.